Okay, so who actually, let me do the reverse because you guys don't seem too interactive, so I'll ask like a negative question. Who doesn't know who Montage is? Oh, that's good. Oh, one person. So what Montage does is we are one of the leaders in things kind of hidden from you guys. So Samsung, Micron, and Hynix, everybody knows who they are, but there's components on the memory modules they don't want to make. So we make those parts. In addition, there is retimer technology that is coming out that is needed, and that is PCI based. So Montage has decided to get into the CXL controller space because there's a lot of synergy with what we're already doing today in this PCI retimer space and what we're already doing today with the memory industry on memory components. So we see CXL as kind of the merging of those two types of technologies. So Montage itself has been in business for about 20 years. We are one of the leaders. There's 3 companies that make registers, data buffers, and things like that. And we have about 40% market segment share for DDR4 and DDR5. In addition, we have a full portfolio of retimer products. And as I mentioned, we see CXL as the merging of those two technologies. So you learn a lot by working with the DRAM industry, and then you learn a lot by working with the OEMs and CSPs and ODMs on the PCI retimer industry. And again, this has given us a lot of capabilities. We've got a large lab in Atlanta where we have all of the latest Intel systems, all the latest AMD systems, and Ampere systems, and then we can do all the comprehensive testing before it gets to you, okay? So with that, we were able to also, additional help is Intel's on our board. And Intel owns 10% of our company. So Intel kind of whispers in our ears what you guys should do. So they were the ones that said, hey, you guys should get into PCI retimers about 5 years ago. And then 2 years ago, they said, you guys might want to look into CXL controllers. It's where the technology is going, and we think you guys would be really good at that technology. So we hit the ground running on that. We were first to actually have a commercially ready product. It's in mass production. I've shipped probably about 5,000 parts to 50 unique customers. Again, if you guys are interested in any, see me afterwards, and I will hook you up with a handful of parts. In addition, we have a roadmap. So what we're doing is not only looking at the first generation, which we really tried to target time to market, but hit the second generation where latency is very important to customers. Higher bandwidth is very important to customers. IDE support is important to customers. So we have the second generation part coming out in December, which pushes it up to 6400, latency sub 100, and adds IDE support. And now we're working with you and the rest of the industry on our third generation part. And that's again where I'm trying to work with you and the rest of the industry. What do you want? Can I drop DDR4 finally? Do you want me to add LP support? Do you want me to add HBM support? The presentation just prior to this from Intel talked about, hey, you can add all of these things behind the memory, but the controller's got to be able to support those things. Do you guys want me to add HBM? Do you want me to add LP5, LP6? I need to know so we can put those technologies in the controller. Right now, everyone wants DDR4 and DDR5. But what do you want in 2 years? What do you want in 3 years? So we need to find those things out now so we can either develop the technology or partner with an IP house to roll those technologies in. So again, we have the design wins with all the key customers. Again, Samsung probably doesn't make it a big deal about it, but they're actually using our controller in their product. Same thing with SK Hynix. They're using our controller in our product in those types of areas. And as I talked about, we've enabled 50 customers worldwide. This is really kind of at a proof of concept stage. We've got to get the technology out to people, wide variety of people, software companies, hardware companies, innovators, so they can start hitting the ground running with this technology. Okay. I'm going to go through a couple of these slides fairly quickly because you guys have seen this time and again. We see right now the applications, and we agree a lot with the Yule presentations that Frank and Charles gave earlier. We actually helped develop those material from Yule Technology. So we see it broke up into 2 different areas. An add-in card, which is about 75% of our business today. And what that allows people to do is, as you guys know, Intel's latest platform and AMD's platform did not provide backwards connectivity. This is the first time that Intel and AMD did not do that. I did 20 years at Intel where I was the memory technologist over there, and we always had dual support in our controllers. When DDR5 came out, it did not have support for DDR4. So if you want to reuse your DDR4 modules, which there are, let's see, there's probably over 100 million of them out there in the industry, Using a CXL controller allows you to reuse that technology as you transition to Sapphire Rapids, Emerald Rapids, Genoa, Turin. You can now have that capability to plug in an add-in card that has the slots on there to plug in a DDR4 RDIMM, as an example. So that's about 75% of our business this year. And then we, as I mentioned earlier, we've got the design win with Samsung and Hynix, and they're starting to ramp up their products for the E3 market, so in there. And then where is it going? You really need the pooling to get the actual true value proposition of this, where you don't have to over-provision your memory. You can dial in your memory to better align with its usage model 90-95% of the time, and then you have this pooled storage device, which when you have these spikes and you need that extra memory, you can jump out there for those extra memory. But that requires switches, that requires CXL 3.0. So again, Montage is heavily involved with that. We have an investment in XCon. We are partnering with XCon in a number of areas so that as that switching technology comes out, we are ready for it with the pooling solution coming in the future. So this is the back-end slide that you will use to develop its TAM and SAM projections in the future. So as you can see, you've got year-on-year growth on the CPU platforms that are capable of supporting CXL 1.1, CXL 2.0, and CXL 3.0. That is the kind of orangish lines. I'm not very good with colors. Brownish orange line. The blue is the real market. Okay, so you got your TAM and you got your SAM, share of the market for those non-marketing people out there. So as you can see, it's not a very big market year on year. And you start having the hockey stick in the 26-27 time period, because that's when the industry, again, this is Intel and AMD, drop the support for 2 DIMM per channel, and they only go to 1 DIMM per channel. So once that happens, you instantly lose half the theoretical capacity you have on that server platform. How can you replace that? Well, Monument Creek MRDIMM is coming out, which has a bandwidth play from Intel and AMD in the future. But from a capacity standpoint, you can do it with stacked DIMMs or stacked components. Again, if you're in the industry, you know that's very expensive. So CXL gives a very less expensive or more inexpensive opportunity to replace that memory from when you go from 2 DIMM per channel to 1 DIMM per channel. And that will be coming out and needed in the 26 to 27 time period. So that's when you get the hockey stick. It might not look like much of one. Right now, the market's about 240 million DIMMs year on year for the server market. So an 8% market's pretty good at that time period in 27. So again, if you guys are interested in playing with this technology, we have a engineering card. We are not planning to go to mass production with this. We make silicon. You guys are the smart people out there from a software and hardware standpoint. I just sell controller silicon. But to enable this market, I did manufacture this part. I probably sold about 2,000 of them out to industry, but I'd love to give you the design. I'd love to have you let me know who you want to part with, Smart Technologies, Unigen, someone out of the Taiwan area to make these add-in cards. You just tell me who you want me to enable, and I'll enable them with hardware, raw cards, review their design and everything. I just want to make a controller. Let them make and differentiate this product. So we have these products available today. They support both DDR4 native or DDR5. It's the same controller from my standpoint. From a DDR4 standpoint, it will support an RDIMM. From a DDR5 standpoint, it will support a UDIMM or an RDIMM. And again, these are available today, the add-in cards, that is. This is the specifics on the add-in card. Again, we're not planning to go use this in end-user systems. This is more of an engineering product so that you as an engineering community can start, quote unquote, playing with this technology. It's got hooks on there so you can look at the signals and monitor this. Again, this is where you would look to an ODM, a DIMM supplier that you would potentially want to look at mass producing these at a better price point that I'm at today. This is an enabling vehicle for me to enable the industry around this technology. So again, if you're interested in a DDR4, engineering card or a DDR5 engineering card, see me afterwards. I'll be available outside, and we can talk about that. We have our second generation part coming out in December time period, which pushes this up to 6400, which adds IDE support and lowers the latency to sub 100 nanoseconds. And we will have that part available also. This chart has been shown all day long, so I'm not going to add any value add to what you see today in this area. I will tell you CXL is one of the viable options in this space, but there's other things that are being worked. And again, that's one of the advantages of working with companies such as Montage. We play in the Monument Creek MRDIMM space, so we're working on high bandwidth solutions. We play in the PCI space today and other areas, so you kind of get the economies, the best of both worlds in that area. As I mentioned earlier, we've got design wins with Samsung and SK Hynix. We actually have, and I have a lab, so we do full interop testing, so you don't have to do it. We've already done it for you. We test on a full robust OS, suite of OSs. Mimverge, I'm not just going to call them out because they let me come up here. They've got an excellent GUI, and we've been working with them on optimizing that GUI as we go forward so that we get real good usage of this and actually can see this and do some pooling and some modifications in those areas. This is the demo we have outside. This is a real demo. This is a running demo. How many of you guys use Samsung DIMMs? How many of you guys use SK Hynix DIMMs? How many of you guys use Micron DIMMs? How many of you don't know what's in your box? Well, what we've got running out there is a system that's got Samsung E3 module. It's got a SK Hynix E3 module. It's got a Micron DDR4 3200 DIMM in there. It's got a Micron 5600 DIMM in there. So it has every possible configuration that you would have available today to you running on an Emerald Rapids system today. And it's not vaporware. It's out there. You hear that kind of fan noise in the background? That's the system running right outside. So again, we're trying to show you that this is off-the-shelf technology that you can use today. We did not have to reinvent the wheel. There's no blue wires. Go look at it outside there. And it's all working, readily available from Samsung, readily available from SK Hynix. We could have used a Samsung DDR4 DIMM. We could have used a Nanya DDR4 DIMM. We could have used a DIMM from Smart Modular or Kingston in this system. That's what our controller allows us to do, is it treats those as black boxes, but we've done all the testing for you in case somebody has a little idiosyncrasy in their DRAM technology or in their DIMM technology. We've done that testing for you and rolled it out in that area. So my call to action is, there's a lot of suppliers, a lot of great demos going on out there. Mimverge has done a phenomenal job where you can link to their website and get a whole bunch of white papers and see what's going on in the industry. If you want to play with the technology, we're here to support you guys. So again, kind of see me. I'll step out after lunch. I don't want to not have you guys stay in the room for some of the following presentations, but I'll be here at lunchtime right outside. You can go see our demo right outside. We're willing to support you guys with a couple free samples if you guys want to play with the technology, as long as you sign an NDA. And if you want to see what's going on with Samsung and Hynix, we've got it on here for you guys. So again, that's my presentation. We're not flashy. We're an engineering company. We make silicon. And we try to make the silicon that you want today, that you might need tomorrow, or that your customers need in the future. But we're looking for input. What do you want from the technology? Where do you want the technology to go? Do you want future generations to support DDR4? How much longer do we need to support DDR4 in the controller? Do you want us to add HBM, Optane memory, LP memory? What do you want us to add in the controller so you can have that flexibility like Intel talked about earlier? To you, it's kind of a black box, but I need to know so that the controller can support those different technologies. So that's my presentation. Hope it was educational, and I will pass it on to the next person.
Thanks, Jeff.